Hi everyone, I want to talk in this video about the creative review process. Now maybe you work in marketing for your business and you've been tasked with creating a suite of video materials for your brand. So you've gone out, you've hired that video production team, they've created the videos, you're sitting down together now in the conference room, the lights have just gone up after the screening is over, and the video producer looks at you and says, "So, what do you think?" So how can you better communicate with your video production team to make sure that that content that's been created for you is perfectly suited for your brand? The first thing I want to encourage you to do is watch the video through in its entirety without taking notes. And I realize that can be hard for some of you because you're so eager to get that video out in the marketplace and showcase your brand that you want to jot down everything you're thinking as you watch the video. But remember, your audience isn't going to be watching the video in the same way. Your audience isn't going to be sitting there with a notepad jotting down their impressions. So you need to watch the video first as your audience will be watching the video. That is, just sit there, let it wash over you, and then after it's over, feel free to jot down some of those knee-jerk reactions that you had. What were some of your first impressions? Another thing to keep in mind is that making a video shorter doesn't necessarily make a video better. If you really feel like the video needs to be shorter, you need to be prepared to offer up reasons why it needs to be shorter and how making it shorter will improve its performance. Because remember, there is plenty of data out there to show that on certain platforms like YouTube, audiences do prefer longer content. So making your video shorter won't necessarily make it better. So when you're watching the video with your production team, what are some things that you need to be looking out for to make the video better? Well, first, you need to be looking at the big picture. Is the messaging right? Does the video convey your brand's message in a clear, concise manner? Are you saying what you want to say in the video? And is your brand's voice consistent throughout the script? There may be some times in the script where you notice that certain things are being said in a way that's different from how your brand would say it. If so, be sure to speak up at that point and say, "Hey, I really like what you've written here, but you know what? Our brand really doesn't say it that way. We say it like this." Because your brand's voice needs to be consistent throughout all of your marketing materials. So look first at the messaging. Once you've looked at the messaging in the video, next you need to consider the structure of the video. Does it flow together? Do you understand the story arc? Do the pieces fit logically? If not, make notes of those moments in the video where you felt a little unclear about what was going on and bring those up to your video production team. "Hey, around the 3-minute mark, I really didn't understand how we got from this part to this part." What are some things that can be rearranged to make the story a little more clear for your viewer? You've considered the messaging, you've examined the structure of the video. Next, look at the pacing of the video. You know, the video can't have the same rhythmic edits all the way through. It needs to have a little ebb and flow. There are some moments where the pace needs to be quickened a little bit, and then you need to bring it back a little bit for emphasis and tone. So look at areas in the video where maybe you feel as though the pace can be a little quicker, and maybe there's some areas in the video where you need to slow things down to make things a little more clear, or maybe draw out a little bit more emotion. So these are all excellent starting points for how you can better critique a video. Here are a few other things to keep in mind. One, talk through the video with your production team. Get together so you can all talk about it at the same time. And this is really, really constructive to the whole post-production process, because what it does is it allows you and the video production team to really collaborate on making things better. You all have the same goal in mind, and it gives the video production team a chance to explain why they did certain things the way they did them. Then it gives you the chance to explain a little bit more about your brand's needs. Here's another thing to think about. Will my comment make the video better or just different? A lot of times you might prefer one shot over another, but that's really just a personal preference. It's nothing that would really make the video better or worse. It's pretty much the same. So ask yourself, before you insist on substituting one shot for another, ask yourself, is it really making the video better, or is it just my own personal preference? And remember, context is everything. Where your video lives eventually and how it's distributed is super important. Think about it. If your video is going to be embedded on a website with a printed article right next to it, your video doesn't have to do as much of the heavy lifting. The context is going to be provided in the article itself. So if you find yourself wanting to add in more and more graphics, more voiceover, more explanation, more messaging, stop and ask yourself, is it necessary considering the context of where the video is going to live? If the video is going to be played at a trade show, that's going to look very different than a video that's going to be played over your mobile device. So think about how it's going to be distributed. That's going to really impact the way your video is packaged. Remember, being able to critique a video well is a skill that does not need to be undervalued or overlooked. If you have any other suggestions about how to make your videos better, please leave those in the comments section. As always, you can connect with me on my website at clinttill.net and be sure to click subscribe so you know exactly when new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.